Hello and welcome to the George FTTV YouTube channel. Today we have a team update as of February 14th. So very exciting. Yeah, I've been playing with the team probably a little too much. I think it has been settled with a flexible structure over the past few days, which has been good. So don't have to stare at it as much and fiddle with it and whatnot. So yeah, I'll start picking the team in a moment, but I want to give a shout out to a few YouTubers that have been a bit more active in the preseason, and those guys are Abs Magic, Supercoach channel. I think that's the name of the channel. You probably know him anyway. From Twitter, the Center Bounce YouTube channel. They're doing some good stuff, pumping out the content. Supercoach Masters, looking like a very professional setup, so they're doing very good. And also Dr. Supercoach, you already know them, but they're on YouTube, so yeah, they don't need my help or shout out, obviously, but they're on YouTube, so check them out and support these guys on YouTube. Help them get to 1,000 subscribers to get monetization, if that's how you say it. And yeah, support everyone else as well that you already know, DR Spills and Shorty and everyone out there. So yeah, I'll say that, and then yeah, we'll get into building their team. So I think you got to ask yourself where the value is this year, because that generally dictates what's sort of the structure that we're going with, as well as the rookies. And I think the value picks are everywhere, in every line, which is good. I think the defense, I'm still a little bit sketch on a few defenders, but I think there's a few that are cheap enough to go with. So my D1 and D2 is probably the least pretty thing about the team, but it enables me to run the midfield and forward line I would like to run, and ruck line. We'll get to the rucks as well, because it's looking like an absolute shambles. So my D1 is Hayden Young, and my D2 is someone in the 400s range, Ed Richards, for now. So yeah, Young is supposed to be taking more kick-ins as he's at training, and he's been all the hype out of Fremantle. The coaches have been giving him massive raps, saying he's taking a big step forward and whatnot. You've probably already heard that. And Ed Richards, I've been digging up reports, and Caleb Daniel's been playing midfield and half forward. He's helped down back a little bit, but mostly he has been half forward mid in the match sim, and I think they'll continue to use him there because that's where they've been using him all preseason. Richards has the last buy, so if it doesn't work out, that's fine. But the way I see the defense is the Bulldogs defense is, I think it'll be Sam Darcy as the third tall, Jones Gardner, and then Duray is a lockdown. So that's 4. And then the 2 rebounders, it's going to be Richards and Dale, with no Daniel in there. And Treloar's been playing midfield in the only match sim that he played, because he's been injured this preseason. So if the Treloar to halfback midfield experiment is dead, and they want to use Daniel up the ground, but while I acknowledge he can always go back, I think Richards' price can offset that a bit, and I'm willing to take that sort of risk, because I think he'll definitely start. Him and Dale will be doing most of the rebounding, and Richards is a very good interceptor from what I've been reading. So there's a really good all-round game as a defender. 460 is very cheap, so only 1% of teams, and yeah, finished last year really hot. I think in the final he scored poorly, but the Dogs in big games have tended to revert to feeding the ball to Caleb Daniel to get him out of trouble, and with Daniel moving up the ground more, so that won't happen as much. So, or down back anyway. So that's my logic there. On paper, I think it makes sense. I want to see his kick-ins, and yeah, I think he can do at least 90. He's priced at 84. I think he had a concussion game in there as well, and yeah, first half of the year just wasn't calling for the footy at all, anywhere near as much as he was in his last 2 months or so. So that's enough on Richards. Yeah, hopefully it works out, but at the price, I'm not too worried, and yeah, I'm a believer in him, and the preseason reports have been good so far. So we got to go all the way down to 1. Now this pick scared me when I heard about his calf niggle earlier this year or around Christmas, but I think he's up to 42%. It's a defensive pick at this point. I don't really care how it goes. I think most people will pick him. Some might fade, and I understand that, and I'm not totally against that, but for me it's more of a defensive pick. If he plays, he should score well. He'll demand the footy. He'll take kick-ins. If it goes bad, it goes bad. He's 330k, so be it. My next pick, one I'm looking at is Jack Bowes, but he's not in the team at the moment. I don't know if he's best 22. Maybe they've kind of guaranteed him that when he signed the contract. I'm not quite sure, but just don't know where he fits. Is he back? Is he mid? Is he wing? Is he sub? I'm not too sure. So hopefully we get a bit more information on Jack Bowes. I didn't really like what I saw at AFL level, but he had excuses. He had, apart from when he was being the main distributor down back, he's just didn't look good. Bit slow. Found himself dropped from the team. So see how he goes at Geelong. If anyone can revitalise a career, it's them. Nick Coffield is next. So off the ACL will be 13.5 months. He looks really fit. Starting to think he's doing a little bit of match sim now. If not, he's been doing drills. So he's slowly integrating himself. He's done 80 in the past, in the COVID year, I think, but also did 63 one year. So I think he's priced at 38, I want to guess. So if he can do 65, I think that's okay for the price, just to hold it down. Hopefully we get a bit more than that, but coming off the ACL, it might take a bit of time to get confidence back. Leaping for marks. Maybe he's a bit conscious of the knee. Excuse me. Apart from Jared Witts, which was unbelievable, we see generally it takes 18 to 24 months for players to get their full confidence back, but we'll see how he goes. He's only 208k, and I think he's best 22. Although I'm not certain, but we'll see. The next one is Josh Goda. I think he gets a halfback role, maybe a bit of wing time, not too sure, but yes, showed some good signs. I heard really good things in preseason reports around Christmas and early Jan. I haven't really heard anything since. So I think he's 23%. That's higher than I thought, actually. But yeah, he's a watch, and I think we're looking for the nice role with these sort of players. So hopefully that he gets a nice role, and I don't know, maybe gets kick-ins. I think they're playing Zeeble down back, and Hall should be back down there as well. And they got Bailey Scott. I think Core can take kick-ins. Not sure if they used him that way though. Can't remember. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, only 190k. Next one is Connor McKenna. I'll get to Jinby soon. I think he'll be best 22. Sounds like the match sim reports have been good, and he's named on field over Wilmot, and Kadeen Coleman as well was named in the interchange of the Lions match sim. Not saying he's ahead of Kadeen Coleman, but it's an okay sign. I think if he starts round one, I think you have to pick him. And sounds like they've been experimenting Wilmot on the wing, which tells me that I think McKenna might get that halfback role rather than just make him fit in on the wing or half forward. But yeah, we'll get a bit more info. Weddle and Wilmot, both fairly highly owned. Weddle, I'm not quite sure what role he plays. Sounds like maybe a bit more up the ground on a wing, and I think Wilmot is probably the 22nd or 23rd player, and I'm not sure if I want him on field or not. I think it might be the sub risk, but I've thought about it. Just because your second-year player might get a nice role, but we'll see how he goes, see how he fits in. If he looks too much of a sub threat, he will have to stay on the bench. So I think it's probably the safe option. Now the mid. So talking about this defense, so I've opted not to pay up. I don't have Dacos, but he's still in consideration. I think I'm going to try and avoid the 600k mids. I'm almost committed to not picking any of them at this point. All decent ownership. Sinclair's pretty low. They're just too expensive, and you'll see I want to pay up in the midfield. So we're going to go 1 to Laird Oliver. I spoke to DR. I was on his channel about the Crows preview video that we did, and I think he was pretty keen on starting Laird and Oliver. They have a really nice captaincy setup or synergy. And yeah, my initial reaction was I think it's a bit too much, but obviously it is strangling my D1 and D2 a little bit. But I think I'm losing confidence in quite a lot of players. Well, I'm not fully confident. There's a few that I think will get early tags. I think Merritt's going to cop Finn McGuinness round 1. I do like Merritt though. Not sure about Petrarch. I'm not sure I want him in the team this year. Maybe post-buy. McRae's just the hardest player to get a read on as well. So Callum said that he'll play defensive. He has to basically. So I'm not really keen on him, although he could go nuts with the role. Then Took might get tagged early, and then Neil I think is turning 30 or about 30 now. It's a bit overpriced, I think, in tag. So I'm losing confidence in a lot of players here. So the players I'm most confident in are Laird and Oliver. So provided Laird's thumb is all good, sounds like it is, we're going to go that route. Captain options, and yeah, I can enjoy watching Crows games and by watching Laird dominate and not get annoyed if the Crows win, but Laird dominates. It's slightly bittersweet, but maybe I invest too much in my own fantasy team than my own team that I've supported for 20 years. So regardless, I think Laird's been fantastic in preseason, and I think Oliver is just almost impossible to doubt his ability. He's still 25, so that's my 2. And my 3rd has been pretty clear. My first pick midfielder this year was Marcus Bontempelli. So I think it's self-explanatory at this point, with no Dunkley and the acquisition of Lob. D4, I've caved to Tom Green. I think the fixture was the kicker here with Essendon, Adelaide, West Coast, and I think it's Hawthorn, as well as Sam Walsh, Carlton in the first 5 weeks. I think that's too easy, and I think there's not much point jumping on when you miss the easy fixtures. I think you have to start or just let it go. So I think we'll opt for start, and here's the last buy, so we'll see how he goes. So I think the CBAs will go up. He sounds like he's fitter. Not fully confident in this pick because he's failed to run out seasons twice in a row, but 4th year, a bit more fitness. See how we go. Option to buy flip, but yeah, he should be the main extractor in there, you would think. So he's in for now. I'm not 100% sold, but like Young, Richards, Green, I think they're my 3 premiums where I'm a little bit iffy, but I think the upside is quite clear with all of them. Young, more kick-ins. Green, more CBAs. Another preseason of fitness. Richards, no Daniel, so more distributions out the back for Richards and Dale. So that's the logic there, but they're all pretty young players, so can't count on them as much as the guys who've done it before. But on paper, I think it makes sense. So that's what we're going with at the moment. I did have Tom Mitchell here, but he's out for the time being. He's very high in consideration for me, and I think he's one really good preseason game away from me locking him in. Just about, if he looks really good. Last preseason he looked horrific, but he did have groin issues. So he was actually in my team before round 1 or before the preseason games last year, and he was just terrible in the preseason. I took him out straight away, and we'll see how he goes this preseason. So it's one that I'm really struggling with a bit, but yeah, I think he'll go okay just because of his price. Definitely go 100 plus, I think. So, but can he push that 110? I'm not sure. The age as well is a bit of a factor, but yeah, I think he'll be motivated to do well. So he's a big watch. I think the next player will be, these are all highly owned players that I have now. So I have Hopper, M5. I could go Young instead of, I could go Tom Mitchell here instead of Young. That's something I'm definitely considering. We'll just see how things play out. Who else we got? Will Ashcroft. Got Jinby and Phillips. So Jinby's in my midfield, and Jinby's very much a flexible pick. I think not too attached to a first-year player, but it sounds like he's having a really good preseason, and the role should be okay. So, but can he accumulate at AFL level? Can he handle? Can he be consistent? It's a big step up. So he's one where this could be a buy-tell if he gets a game. Although buy-tell, I'm not sure he's best 22. It could be Radicalia if he plays round 1. Swing him, swap him with McLean up forward. Or something happens to Caulfield or Goda. We swing Jinby down back and then get rid of Caulfield or Goda, or even McKenna. So that's sort of the flexible structure I'm going in with. So yeah, I'm not attached to the pick, but the higher ownership and the good role and the good reports, I think you definitely have to take them very seriously. So Jinby is in for now, but I'm open to fading. But we'll see. I think I just got to give him a proper chance in preseason, and then make an assessment. And then my bench rookies are Charlie Constable, played in the ones today. Oscar Baker, I think is a good chance to play round 1, but I'm not too sure. I can't remember who else I had here. Johnson, where is he? Yeah, so Johnson might probably fighting for Erasmus as like the 22nd player, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Now the ruck line. What do we do in the rucks? Hell, it ain't English now. And this is something that happens in our Discord a lot. So basically, I say that I try and sell people Wits, and I'm like, they basically give me the same answer. He's too expensive. You're an idiot. Don't pick Wits. He's going to average 95 this year. I think he can do 100 and gets a full preseason. He had an interview the other day. Oh no, he didn't. Wasn't an interview. Well, he was on SEN, but didn't give away much. But there was a report. I think it was Michael Whiting that said Wits had not missed a beat this preseason, done every session. Whereas Big Shrek was limping off with an ankle issue at Match Sim a few days ago. Tim English is a mess. Just picking up niggles left, right, and center. Whereas Wits is doing every session. Give me Jared Wits. I'll pay for Jared Wits. And obviously you can see that this has led Oliver Wits straining the hell out of D1 and D2. But I think I'm all about not using trades here. And I think Wits is your best bet to not use trades in the ruck line. He has a great buy. He's no second ruck. If something happens to him, it's a very easy swap to Ned Moyle and using that money elsewhere. Which I guess is a slight bonus, but hopefully I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to use trades in the ruck, but if something happens to Wits, that's what will happen. Yes, he might average 10, maybe 12, maybe even more points less, but which isn't great. But I mean, we're going to do the Ruck podcast on the in about 1.5 weeks, I think, or 2 weeks on the members' website, and go through the rucks. And it's just, who do you have confidence in? I can see people pivoting to Radaglia if he's named round 1, go and do that right before round 1. As there are 2. Boy, that's risky though. He doesn't have quite the scoring power as a Proust does. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. So, and yeah, as I said, Ginby could be Radaglia. And then at this point, like, even if there is a threat of a second ruck coming in, Marshall still picks himself. Everyone's basically ruling themselves out for me. People still might be counting English. His ownership's dropping by the day, it seems. Darcy Cameron has dropped. I think they were both in the 30s. Hamstring the preseason. Absolutely forget it. Not even going to bother. Not for me. And then Nick Madden, just your loophole. Maybe we get Radaglia on the bench. I don't know. I feel like that's a lot of money. Finding 70k for the bench is a lot, but it could be rewarding. Midfield. I think I'm picking a lot of highly owned players here. So Dunkley, Stephen Cornelio has entered my team. So I'm happy with that. Taranto, I'll do Rosie, Price, or order them by price. Rosie and Taranto. So I think there's upside with all of these players. I think Cogs probably the least attached to, but as I said with Green, the early fixture is pretty scary. Pretty easy fixture. And yeah, I think the GWS midfield is going to be a very tight-knit group of Cogs, Green, Perryman, and Josh Kelly, with maybe some stints from Callahan, and maybe they throw Ward in there to help out. But Ward is training forward, Ash is training back. And yeah, it looks like those 4 are taking most of the CBAs. So I think they'll all see a spike in CBAs on what they did last year. Also, getting a 550k premium in is kind of good because it's getting harder to justify pushing your luck with discount defenders and discount midfielders. So I think you go for Cogs, who's most likely to be top 6. And yeah, I love the way he played last year. I'm so stoked for him after the horrible few years that he had with injury and being dropped and stuff. So happy with that. The next one we have is a bit of a pod, and I'm sticking with it. I think he's been in all my teams so far. Is Sam Flanders. So this used to be Oscar Allen, but I definitely prefer to pick players with a better Supercoach role. I think Allen can do 70, which will get him to 150k. I think a bit more. But a report today on Sam Flanders, some people were seeing it as a negative that he started at half forward. All I read was David Swallow, who got the CBA, started on a wing, and Sam Flanders started at half forward and pushed into stoppage. That's basically what he said. He was helping out around stoppage. So for me, he's closer than ever now to being the 4th mid in that CBA rotation. I don't know if he played in that mid rotation at all, but some of the threats. So Hollins is playing wing. He's trained on the wing this preseason. Davies played in the B team. All their friends like Fiorini and whoever else they have, stat padders in the VFL. They were all on the B team. So it looks to me like Flanders, I think, is a good chance to be the fourth. Swallow played on the wing, but Ellis didn't play, and Ellis is supposed to play wing. So I don't know what happens with Swallow when Ellis comes back. So that's something we'll keep an eye on. I just think it's just ridiculous to ignore the amount of hype they've pumped up Flanders with. It's absurd. I think he's the most hyped player on, just with PR messaging out on like the Gold Coast basically, and the journos and whatnot. So yeah, getting massive hype, 250k. Yeah, I think he'll go well. Sounds like he's best to, like, sounds like there's literally nothing more he can do to push his claim, form a top 10 pick, or might have been pick 11, something like that. And then the last one is pretty obviously Toby McLean. I remember picking him in 2018 in my round 1 team, and he was fantastic. So yeah, I hope they use him in the midfield. I think he'll have a bit of 2 ACLs, been out the game for so long. Just always wanted that mid opportunity, and it's been too many plays in front of him. So I guess I'm wasting my time talking about McLean lock. That's it. And then how much money? So we got to go. Probably Van Ruin. I don't really know who we're picking here. I think even though I think you got Fergus Green, but I don't know if Van Ruin's best 22. I don't know if Green's best 22. There's Connor Stone. Like, these guys have rubbish roles, so need to be hidden on the bench or look for an alternative. And I don't actually know if we get a jury, but I don't know. Hopefully we get 102k. That would be great, or even like a 117. That would help. So I got 10k in the bank. So that's how the team's looking. If Constable's playing round 1, which he probably will be because they have a lot of injuries. So it's worth noting that the injuries on Gold Coast, Weller, I think, did his ACL in June, so I don't think he'll be back till, I don't know, around 8, 9, 10, that sort of range. Buderick's coming back mid-season. And then there's another guy that I've forgotten. Weller, Buderick, somebody else. I forgot. We'll look it up later. But I think that player is coming back earlier from memory. So there might be a spot down back. I know they've got Ben Long in, so maybe they play Long instead. I'm not sure what the dynamic is. But if Constable's there in round 1 and they like him there, then I'll pick him. Even with the risk that he goes out of the team, I think his upside is too good to pass up, and the DPP is kind of nice. So we've got 2 defender mids here. I think I can swap Young for like a Tom Mitchell. Swap Green for Tom Mitchell if I'm not happy. I can look at getting Richards to Dacos, although if he looks great in the preseason. So there's a few things I can do here. I'd have to go Jinby down. Maybe I need to fund this F8. But yeah, that's the team we're running with at the moment. I'm very, very happy with the midfield, rucks, and forwards. I mean, I'm not stoked about paying for Wits, and I'm open to alternatives, but I think that the only negative on Wits really is the price and maybe the age. Other than that, it's just here's so many advantages over so many other picks. So yeah, the whole idea is not being backed into a corner of using a trade in the rucks. So I think last year I ended up with Oscar McInerney just because English went down. He was my ruck, and yeah, I had to get a player in, and at that point I just used too many trades and I couldn't get to Sean Darcy. I could, but I would have gone to 0 trades, and I didn't want to do that. Or 1 trade, something like that. But anyway, let me know what you think of the team. Yeah, I'm pretty attached to Laird and Oliver, even though they're expensive, and Bont. And then the 2 ruck I'm pretty attached to as well, unless we get a cheap alternative. And then Dunks, Cogs, Rosie, Taranto are locked, I think. And yeah, I want to pick Flanders. So that's the team. Let me know what you think. All that. And yes, that's it. Have a good one, and we'll see you guys soon.